be the best approach. And I think a lot of it is just we're really just wanting clarification to make sure that we're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know where if you guys wanted to start at some of the newer stuff because we don't really need clarification on the old stuff, right? So what sort of like chapter 6?
Yeah, cardiovascular on.
Does someone have their objectives for that chapter?
Yeah, work with it.
I have all moved on.
So you know about all of it, it's not just the arrow.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
Maybe they can.
I have one right here. I was just seeing if anyone wanted me to move that.
I did all of it.
Yeah.
So
For that, I did
not
all
just
of
the
it.
arrows, it's all of it.
Well, because the arrows are putting to the veins in the.
Both of them.
Did you? The
It's
line
both
opening
of
them.
So like my goal is to give you one figure that has, so like if we're looking at this figure, is to give you one figure that had kind of the major vessels. Now, I may not ask you to label all of them because there's only a certain amount of time, but you can't bet on which ones of that figure I'll have you label. Okay, so for that one, I do want you to, so it's the arrows and the leader lines for that one.
Okay.
Everyone's
For
got
all
a
of
chair,
them.
since they gave me some chairs to bring in here if you want more chairs.
That's okay, thanks, we didn't order your one early.
Can I see yours?
He says recording.
You are.
Yeah.
I think.
Just so you can, okay, because I can just do a voice recorder too, so we can go back.
Okay, so that's a clarification, correct?
Does someone have a chapter 6 objectives? I can't find mine right now.
Yeah, it should.
Yes, that is a clarification on the arrows and
So that,
the other lines, yes.
Does that go
that
for
was
all
good.
of the diagrams? For all of the diagrams in that packet.
Okay. And for the one that you have for the finals,
Yes.
study suggestions for the finals.
Yeah, so
So
it would
this diagram,
just
not all
be,
of it.
so just so you know, the likelihood that I would have you label all of them is slim, because we don't have enough time, but I
Right.
may pick a couple that you don't, you
Okay.
know, if you don't label them all and learn them all, then
So
you
just
won't, so
say
label
this
and
whole thing.
learn,
Okay.
yeah. And that's true for this one too.
Okay.
Yes, for cardiovascular, you can ignore this and just focus on, you know,
Definitions, right?
so focus on the pictures from, that I've given you here.
So focus on pictures for cardiovascular.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it, most of these are what I said,
Yeah.
you know, most of these are
what
the
is,
same.
what are you looking at right
But
now?
like,
Chapter 6
Um,
objectives.
like, I didn't ask you to learn these in detail, the branches of the facial.
Okay, so
So-
just to clarify, is there a way that you could tell us like exactly what do you want us to know? Like, do we need to know from the aorta, brachiocelic, subclavian, common
Yeah.
carotid?
Yeah, so that's these, right, the major ones, and then the external carotid, I want you to know the major branches, okay?
Okay, so when you say major, you're just saying superior
Those-
thyroid, lingual,
Yes,
facial.
those 8 that are on this drawing,
Okay,
right?
okay,
Dr.
perfect.
Davis.
Yeah.
On this diagram,
What is that?
Yeah.
It's an error, sorry.
Oh, it is. Okay. No wonder we couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, it would be nice, it's not shown,
Okay.
you know, so it's not shown,
That
and
diagram,
so,
that
yeah,
diagram.
sorry.
I've got a question, Ms. Davis.
Yeah.
It's
for this one, the pointing like right there, do you see the one I circled?
oh yeah, I couldn't find that either.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
where?
So that
Okay.
one is an error.
Oh,
Error.
okay.
Error.
Yeah.
I'll look at that one.
For the muscles of mastication, muscles of facial expression, mandibular incisors and maxillary incisors, you want the blood order and then the venous return as well. Because I studied like 2 days for that.
That homework question,
Uh-huh.
it's unlikely I'm gonna ask that detail,
Okay.
that I will not ask those 2 questions that ask you to look at the pathway. I wanted you to
Okay.
think about that pathway
Okay.
and explore the vasculature,
Okay.
but I won't ask you that
Okay.
detail. There's too much to cover
I
to
know.
get that detailed. Now,
That's why I was
if
going
we
insane
had
this week.
nerves, if we had more time, I would ask you that with nerves,
Okay.
but we didn't have time.
Dr. Davis, can I just clarify, just because everyone was talking?
Yeah.
So you said to disregard everything for chapter 6 objectives except for these 2 diagrams?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for clarification. Chapter 6 objectives. It's just that part that I have, like all the branches from the aorta. Use the diagrams rather than some of the detailed branches. I'm not gonna ask you for.
So she's referring to like
Are you
this.
going to be?
Know this, know that.
Okay, I know that
Can I
part.
see, Angie, what you're talking about?
Thank you.
Know this, know that.
Okay. Organ supplied as well, correct?
Yeah, let's do it one at a time so we make, yes. So here,
Chapter.
from 10, the branches, number 10, please refer there to the figures in this handout.
And as far as the terminology goes, do you want us to know some of this stuff, like define sinus? that-
Yes, what's the sign of, yeah, I mean,
Cavity.
yes, I do.
Okay.
Makes the skull lighter.
And then this part where it says explain why an interruption in supply of blood cells causes their death.
Yes,
Mm,
if you don't, if you have a thrombus or a hemorrhage and you don't get blood to, an area or a cell, what happens? The cells die because it doesn't get oxygen and it doesn't get glucose, so it can't make ATP and it can't live without ATP.
On the back of the last quiz, it said for either the homeostasis or the protein synthesis.
Yeah.
Should we go into detail on both, or should we just know one or the other? Because you asked either list the protein synthesis or the
Right.
homeostasis.
Know it, but it won't be on file.
Yeah.
There'll be a homeostasis question and there'll be some aspect of a protein synthesis. It could end up being a true false or a multiple choice rather than an essay,
Okay.
but you should know
Know it.
both of those. Yeah.
Okay.
So focus on them.
Well, focus, but so much to focus on. So
But
that
not
you
have
know-
to
The
read.
concept.
You should know
Okay.
those concepts.
Okay.
Like the idea of it.
So that would be this diagram, I'm assuming, right? This is what she's going to assume, yeah. And then back to chapter 6, do we have some questions?
What about?
The Venus,
Yeah.
the Venus
Is it
part,
just this?
the Venus part is there.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Alright. So refer to figure.
Wait, that diagram right there is the
We're
Venus.
looking at the objectives.
On the
and-
objectives for chapter 6.
So just use this.
Okay.
So refer to page 5.
I have to say, I wish all of my students were like you guys.
Do you really mean that?
Anything else, you guys? Chapter 6?
So remember homeostasis, so we have a couple of examples that we've
So
looked
the
at,
body
skull
temp
and
and
body
the-
temperature.
Yeah.
What about
Thyroid calcium
And, yeah,
homeostasis,
yeah, and the parathyroid and calcitonin.
calcium, parathyroid is the only thing.
So would we need to explain one, or should we know all of them in case it's a true
It might,
false?
be some true false multiple choice.
The basic stuff of them.
Christina.
On your little suggestion here, it says draw a heart. Now, are we actually going to be asked to probably draw a heart like we did in class,
Like
or
this
is it
one?
more like labeling and knowing where things are?
Wow, that's a good heart.
So, so I would like you guys to be able to, I don't know if we're gonna have time, I have to see how many essay questions there are, or short answer questions. That and the draw the brain kind of thing. I think it's really important for you guys to understand, sensory, where sensory enters, where your potential places for block and where perception happens. So where you can think about analgesia and anesthesia. Not that we talked about it that much, but just that you can have anesthetic, local anesthetic out in the periphery, so right at the sensory, where the sensory nerve endings are. You could put it closer to the pons. You could actually inject it in the nucleus. where the afferent enters. Or
Where
you
would
could
I
put
find
it-
more information just so if
Just
I
the
could-
drawing on if ask any questions you have, or I can go over it again.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's a good takeaway for all of your dental stuff, because it's what you're gonna
So you can do it in the pons or in the nucleus.
You can do it, where are you mainly doing it? Usually.
But usually at the
At
Do you guys wanna just go over and just ask that first and just going like
Well-
chapter?
So this fall packet is going to be on the final. Should we just go over this packet and then additional information you want us to know? Well, also want it too, because this is mostly the important part you want
That's
us to
the
know.
50% plus the study objectives from
Yeah.
6.
But we
and
don't need
8,
to
9.
know
So what I'm
all
saying,
the
if we
study
know we need to know
objectives.
this though,
Well,
then
that's
let's just go over the chapter by chapter, what's not in here that we need to know because it's in there.
Because
Okay.
there's just so much information, like, on the objectives.
There is, but you guys probably, hopefully feel like you know a lot already.
Yeah, but just actually writing it down is different. So that's why I feel like I don't know.
I like going through each.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Do you guys have any other questions for chapter 6? Do we feel like we're clear on what we need to study?
I have one. Okay. So, when I did this, the target organs of major arteries, for facial and maxillary, it obviously, I don't know if this got answered, but it obviously has more branches on it.
Right.
Is that every single one? Do we need to know every single one
No.
and what organ it
No,
goes
no,
to?
no.
Okay.
Just
I
the
wanted to
major
make
ones,
sure.
yeah.
Just the
Thank-
major
yeah.
ones.
What are you talking
And
about?
so when it's
some
the
point-
major one,
It's those,
is it just like the facial, where does it go?
Yeah.
So like the temporal, the zygomatic, buccal, mental, and the cervical.
and I would
That's the
say you
5
don't need
with
to
the-
go, you,
I was doing that
I'll
last
say
night. I was like,
one,
what are
I'll
you
probably
doing?
give you one organ.